Well, ESPN has given us something to talk about as we get into the middle of the summer here. I'm not sure this is really based in much of reality, but they've given us future rankings for programs. Of course, this was all before USC and UCLA went into the Big Ten, but I'll read them for you. We're going to talk about the top 10. So Kentucky at 25. They have the Houston Cougars at 24, 23, another set of Cougars, this time BYU. The Gators at 22. Iowa at 21. NC State is at 20. Then Wisconsin, Michigan State. 17 is Oklahoma State. Baylor at 16. You've got Penn State and James Franklin at 15. Utah at 14. The Oregon Ducks, Dan Lanning at 13. 12 for Cincinnati. The Canes at number 11. Top 10, LSU at number 10 with a rebuild there. USC at 9. Michigan at 8. Got the Sooners at 7. Notre Dame at 6. Clemson at 5. The Aggies at 4. Ohio State at 3. The Georgia Bulldogs at 2. And Alabama at 1. Now, listen, I'm not going to fight the top 3. I think we all know that. I think all of y'all have heard me lecture enough about what the top is. I think Texas A&M could be higher in theory, but they're going to have to back it up with play on the field. We've seen enough of this chitter chatter about Texas A&M doing stuff. It's time. You got Clemson at 5, um, which is predicated particularly on their defense. I mean, the only 3 schools that I can tell are top 10 in all of the categories that ESPN is trying to use. Actually, there's only 2 schools, which are Bama and Georgia. Ohio State's got is just barely outside of the top 10, and one of them are it's actually A&M joining Georgia and Alabama. We'll just see. I mean, I just don't know. I don't know that you can trust that situation at A&M. They are extremely sensitive right now about a lot of different things. But more than anything, they have to win games. It's time to win. Um, I don't know if they will. I also think there's a couple of things here. For me, the Gators, uh, 22, that seems very low. Maybe I'm giving Florida too much credit, but if you're not winning at Florida, like if you're not a top, 15 program, there's a problem. So I don't know if I buy that. Penn State maybe too high. And let me just go in on the Oklahoma thing. Um, I am skeptical that Oklahoma will go from what they've always been, which is an explosive offensive team, to a coach that is more a defensive person than anything, Brent Venables, and have success. There's so many moving parts right now in college football. I think that's one real issue as we get ready for the seasons to come. There are so many moving parts that it is hard to tell what the future will be. Um, and Oklahoma is a great example. I don't see Texas on this list at all that I can remember. Maybe I read them and I forgot. Make sure you're picking up DAWGSTRUCTION today. You get our 80-page hardcover commemorative edition celebrating Georgia's 2021 national championship, DAWGSTRUCTION. And you get this for free, which is our 2022 preview. You can pick it up at Red Zone downtown in Athens on Clayton Street, which is the street up from Atlanta Highway, or Broad Street, which is what it's called downtown. Um, if you do not live in Athens, you need to order these down below. If you just want the magazine, that's great. You can pick that up in the link down below. The best value is getting this and then getting this for free. So I would encourage y'all to take advantage of that now. Um, Let me double check and see the Texas. I do not recall Texas, but now I'm going to punch that in. Yeah, they're not on here. Um, okay. I mean that's that's disturbing to me because I think that once you start talking about, and it's disturbing for the Horns. Once you and Tennessee's not on here either, I don't think. Um, I'm not sure where we're headed with everything, but the future and how far out these rankings, these so-called future rankings, are. That there's going to be a calibration here. Texas A&M and Clemson, which will probably be in the SEC at some stage, they're not both going to be good at the same time. Alabama and Georgia have figured out how to do that. Clemson is strong because of their situation in the ACC. That helps them a ton. Uh, I just everybody in the SEC can't be good, and you're talking about oops, you're talking about a situation here where one, two, four, seven, and 10 would all be good. I don't know. I mean, I think that's not the point of this article. I also personally, I feel like LSU is definitely has the capability of being a top five slash top three program. I mean, I've been around the block a while. Three different coaches. Two of them were not great coaches. One was Nick Saban. Three head coaches in this century have won a national championship at LSU. Three in basically 15 years. That's the power of LSU. That's what LSU can do. Now, that's what Texas should be, and they're not. Um, so uh, Brian Kelly is a great head coach. He just has not won the national championship. My suspicion is that Brian Kelly will win the national championship at LSU. When, I don't know. And this has made things more complicated. Everybody doesn't understand and having Notre and what I'm about to say means having Notre Dame so high at number 6, which is kind of where they've been under Brian Kelly. I just don't know. I mean, because once you start talking about uh, the reality at Notre Dame, which is it's not at all like the SEC schools with the commitment to football. Um, I don't know if you can really pull that off. And I think that for Clemson, keeping up with for Clemson making and Alabama, but for Clemson specifically, for Clemson to hope that the next 5 years are like the last 5 years, I don't see that. I mean, I don't see Clemson winning two national championships over the next 5 years. I don't. So we'll just see. And there's no certainty that Georgia will win the national championship the next 5 years. I think it's more likely than a lot of places. But I think ESPN's got it right, generally speaking. You start talking about who are the best programs right now for the near future. It's definitely Georgia, Alabama, and Ohio State, and not necessarily in that order. It appears Texas A&M is going to be in that conversation. My only skepticism with Texas A&M is they're not producing on the field. When you start talking about number 5, that's Clemson. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and run them down, but they have some real challenges in front of them, and they may be in a different league. They will be in a different league in the next 5 years. Notre Dame, I think Notre Dame's challenges are not just the conference conversation, it's everything else. Oklahoma being at 7, you got some issues there. Michigan at 8. The only thing for Michigan is can they continue to do what they did this past season? I don't know. USC, I think possibly should be higher on here. I think LSU possibly should be higher on here. But you're talking about two places that have a new head coach, and one of them is going to a new league. So I mean, right now on Dog Post, there's a lot of chatter about from folks saying, they don't like where college football is going, and that's their view. I would say that this is the most interesting time we've had in college football. And usually, when people say interesting, they're saying interesting to avoid what they're wanting to say. I think it's actually the best word to describe where we're at. We don't know where we're headed here. We don't know. My guess is that Clemson will wind up in the SEC. I don't know that. I also think Miami could make a huge move in the coming years. I think the schools to watch in the future that we're not watching right now. Well, a lot of people are watching USC, but Miami is a school that you've really got to pay attention to, and I think LSU. I mean LSU. I would be a little surprised. I wouldn't be stunned. I would be a little surprised if LSU didn't win the national championship with Brian Kelly as their head coach. He understands how to win. It's tough to win at Notre Dame, and it's not tough to win at LSU. We've seen really not great coaches win the national championship there. One of them's name was Easy Ed Orgeron. So Brian Kelly understands how to run programs, etc. I think for me, the top three is correct. I think I would shuffle the top five, putting LSU probably at 5 or 6. I think USC they're going to win. Going to Big Ten will make it more challenging, but for the most part, I think these are correct. But this is just something to talk about in the summer. Hey, take advantage of our offer with DAWGSTRUCTION in the preview. You get the preview free when you get DAWGSTRUCTION today.